On April 14th, 1929, William Grover Williams, driving a Bugatti Type 35B, wins the very first Monaco Grand Prix. Here's the story behind this first iconic race, today on Daily Sports History. Welcome to Daily Sports History. I'm Ethan Reese, your guide to a rapid deep dive into sports history every day. Now, the idea for the Monaco Grand Prix came from Anthony Noggs, who had already helped create races such as the Rallye Monte Carlo in 1911. And with the help of the Automobile Club de Monaco, a motoring club based in Monaco, they helped create the very first Monaco Grand Prix, which has gone on to become one of the most iconic automobile races in the world, and part of what is commonly known as the Triple Crown of motorsports, which is the Indy 500, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and the Monaco Grand Prix. And it is the only Grand Prix that does not adhere to the FIA's mandate of a minimum of a 190-mile race for F1 races. And this is a unique race that is actually held on the streets of Monaco, with different elevations and tight corners and tunnels, making it a very demanding circuit, with many stops and very, very tight turns. And the course has remained pretty much the same as it was put together in 1929, making little tweaks here and there, but the course is pretty much the same. And that first race was an invite-only race where they invited 16 participants for a grand prize of 100,000 French francs. And the race would have 100 laps, equaling to about 197 miles. Of those 16 racers, there were 7 Bugatti cars using either the Type 35C or the Type 35B car. Now, these cars looked very much like a tube. The wheels were outside of the car with a tube-like structure that tempered in the back and was flat in the front, consisting mostly of the engine where the driver sat behind it, and was open like the Indy cars are today, but even more so open as the driver could just jump out very easily if needed, and had a very small windshield, and most drivers wore a helmet and goggles as well as gloves, and that was about all the protection they had. The other cars featured were Maserati, Mercedes-Benz, and Alfa Romeo. And what was unique about this race was there was no qualifying run to dictate the order of the start line. Instead, it was all hand-drawn, and they would start the race in lines of 3. So there would be 3 in the front, then 3 behind them, and so on and so forth. William Grover, the future winner of the race, started in the second row. And what's interesting is how he got to this position. In his early 20s, he had taken a job as a chauffeur for a well-known British painter. And that painter let him race his cars when he wasn't chauffeuring him around. And that's how he got into racing and developed relationships with the Bugatti company to help run their cars. And what made Bugatti cars very different than other cars of the day was they focused on being lightweight. Their cars out of a lightweight aluminum compared to the other cars that were using different metals that were much heavier. And the car he drove was 750 kilograms and about 1,600 pounds, topping out at a speed of 115 kilometers per hour or 133 miles per hour. And at this time, Bugatti was known as the ultimate winning car. And they won over 2,000 races in the 1920s, making it Bugatti's golden decade, one of the most successful times for a car company in racing ever. At the start of the race, William Grover, better known as Williams, takes over and quickly jumps into second place. And the field quickly thins out as only 3 cars finish the race on the lead lap. Pit stops were huge, as these cars were big on fuel, and tires were needed as the asphalt was very hot. And these pit stops were not as fast as the ones we know today, as they took more time to actually replace the tires and fill up the car. And every time one of the drivers would stop, they were likely to lose their lead position. But the race came down to Williams in a Bugatti, George Beniero, also in a Bugatti, and Rolf in a Mercedes-Benz. Despite losing the lead at lap 49 after taking a pit stop, it was the last time Grover would lose the lead. He would eventually overtake Garcolia in the Mercedes-Benz, as with fresh tires, he was able to get through the turns much faster. And he also had something, they had a newly patented brake system, which allowed his brakes to cool down much faster and allowed them to perform much better. This was a time when cars were very different, and mechanical advances like this were able to help you win races even more than your racing ability. And Williams passed the finish line after his 100th lap at 3 hours, 56 minutes, and 11 seconds, beating George Baranio by a full minute and 17 seconds. And Garcolia in the Mercedes-Benz finished another minute behind that. And only 9 other racers finished the race, but none of them finished on that lead lap. And everyone else either was in an accident or had mechanical issues, as this was still early in the automobile phase. The fastest lap took 2 minutes and 15 seconds, which was done by William Grover. And during the race, he averaged almost 85 kilometers an hour, which is about 52 miles an hour. And in 2023, the fastest lap was 1 minute 15 seconds. And they had an average speed of 110 kilometers, about 68 miles per hour. So not actually that much faster than almost 100 years ago. Just shows you the challenge and uniqueness of this race and why it is so popular in the world. Thank you for listening to today's Daily Sports History. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave us a rating or review wherever you're listening. We love to see those. It makes us really happy and smile. Great big smiles every time we see one. And come back tomorrow for more Daily Sports History.